What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of The Impact Atlanta. This is season 3, episode 6, and let's go ahead and get right into the review. So, we start this episode off with Julian and Keisha. They are meeting up, and honestly, when the conversation first started, I was extremely confused. Because, of course, they're going to talk about what happened at Tori's party, right? Cool. But, Keisha wanted to start in the middle because she's like, why were you talking to me the way you were talking to me? Like, you were acting weird. You were talking to me like I was somebody off the street. And I'm just like, no, 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 baby girl. We need to go to the beginning. Because the beginning is, Julian, why is it that every time we go somewhere, you decide to try to throw shade at the other girls unnecessarily? Also, you came for Carly and Daybella, and they weren't really giving you the conversation that you wanted. That doesn't mean that you get to lash out at me. I don't know. I just feel like the way the conversation was handled was a little weird. But here's the thing. I realize that when Keisha talks, Julia just agrees to whatever she's saying. Not saying that what she's saying is wrong, but I feel like he would rather just agree with her so that way she shut up instead of actually saying how he feel. Because every time somebody confront him about things that he says, he kind of minimize himself and be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's not what I really meant. Oh, yeah, because, I'm just like, dude, if you going to be messy, stand in it. Because he even went further to be messy again when it comes to Daybella and Carly. Because, Keisha's, first of all, she trying to tell him how he has a lot of great assets about himself, okay? However, he's got to stop letting the mess, control the narrative about who he is. And I agree. He doesn't have to get into all the mess. No matter what drama he heard or whatever, you don't have to always be messy. Baby, right after she told him this man, he's just like, oh, well, it's not like I'm just making stuff up because I heard some things about Carly and Daybella. So then he goes on to say that Carly wants to take Daybella's man. Talking about she told me that she can't wait until they break up because she's going to date him and all of this stuff. I'm just like, for real? Do we really believe that Carly would have this conversation with Julian when she has been very adamant about she sees exactly who he is? I feel like he's making stuff up. Like, dude, you gonna have to come up with some receipts for you to be saying stuff like this. Now, moving on from that, we see Carly and Daybella, they're hanging out, right? So they're basically talking about the pool party, and they both feel like Julian is extremely messy. And I agree. Julian is messy unnecessarily. I thought that Tucson was messy, but Tucson is just really a brat. This guy is extremely messy and trying to start a pot with all the ladies. And it's kind of weird because he definitely wants to stir the pot with Daybella and Carly. And it's like, dude, what's your vendetta against them? It doesn't even make sense. Why were you sitting up here trying to make these two girls get into it when all it did was backfire on you? Because at the end of the day, they are still locked in with each other. And you over here sitting on the outside trying to figure out how you can get in. It's crazy. So, next thing you know, we get Tucson and Michael, right? Who was his boyfriend. They go kart riding. All right, cool. However, so basically Tucson tells Michael that he's going to put a pause on having a baby, right? But baby, Mike had other plans because he lets Tucson know, oh no, sweetheart, you can go ahead and do whatever you was going to do. Have this baby, whatever you feeling, because I'm not going to be here. I'm moving to LA. That man sounded like he didn't want no parts of long distance. It was given that Michael is no longer interested in Tucson. And I feel like it's probably because of Tucson's antics. He didn't sound like he was hurt about moving to LA. He sounded like he was excited to go to LA. It's already in the works. yeah, they could be friends, but they won't be dating. I was like, so Tucson, you basically got dumped, if we want to be honest. How do you feel about that, boo? So, moving on from that, we see Gloss, right? Now, we see her meet up with her team, and they talk about her career. Now, they feel like, she has a lot of work to do. She needs to focus on her music. And here's the thing. Gloss got a lot going on, especially when it comes to her being a mom, because she does not have help. So, when it comes to her having to find a babysitter and all of those things, I feel like she definitely needs to get a babysitter or a nanny, so that way you have one person who is always looking out for your kids instead of trying to always find somebody. Like, your mama live how many hours away? She's not always going to be available. Now, they basically tell her that, girl, if we want to be honest, then we would have dropped you a long time ago had you been on a major label. But because you're on QC, or quality control, that's basically your saving grace. I was like, dang, like, there's no positives in this meeting. Like, nothing that they said to her was positive. So I'm just like, how is she supposed to, make something out of that? Well, y'all only gave her negative things. Like, I don't know. I just feel bad for Gloss. However, I do think that when it comes to quality control, they got their nerve to try to go hard on her when none of their artists is really popping like they used to be, if we want to be honest. Because, no offense, but Lakia was just on this show, and we ain't heard nothing from her. We already know the City Girls broke up. Like, they just randomly signed a country group. That's the black girls. I think they're like sisters or something. But quality control ain't what it used to be. So, good luck, Gloss. Because I feel like you got your work cut out for you. Now, moving on from that, Juliet and Freshie, they have this pajama party, right? Baby, it looks like everybody's having a good time. Keisha and Daybella, they're there. And they talk. They talk about the pool party or whatever. And what bothers me about Keisha is that the way she handled this situation was very much high school. Because she was trying to tell Daybella, like, yeah, there's something going on with y'all. Referring to Daybella and Carly. And Daybella is trying to tell her, like, no, we're good. Like, there's nothing going on over here. Like, that's my bestie. Like, it's not like we are, together every day, all day. But we're locked in. And I get it. These girls are no longer in high school, okay? At this point, they've experienced life. You know what I'm saying? They are in their mid-20s. And yes, you're not going to always maybe hang out with people every day. But these girls are still cool. Like, it's really annoying to watch Keisha and Julian try to tear down these girls who have a friendship. Like, it's really weird. So, again, they keep trying to make things be an issue. And out of nowhere, here we go. Because Julian pops up. He's like, oh, what y'all talking about over here? Sir, they don't want to talk to you. Especially not Daybella, okay? She's not interested in talking to you. So then it goes to the whole, oh, well, Carly, she want to take your man or whatever. She said that she's going to take him from you. And it's just like, Julian, go sit down somewhere. Like, you can tell that Daybella was pissed off because at that point she just like walked away and was like, all right, I'm leaving. Like, she just left the party. I don't blame her. I really don't. Do I feel like Carly actually said this? No, not at all. But I just can't understand why Julian is adamant about trying to break up Carly and Daybella's friendship. It's so weird. Now, moving on from that, we see Ari and Gloss meet up. And they basically talk about the fact that, Gloss don't really have no help out there in Atlanta. Hell, she didn't have no help when she was in Memphis. But she really ain't got no help right now. And Ari tells her that, she basically retired her mom. And now her mom is the one who helps her with her son. So Gloss goes on to talk about the fact that when she was 17, she moved out, okay? She moved out. She had her own place. She kind of had it going on. However, I think what really slowed Gloss up was the fact that she had a kid. Now, Ari, she does do something that surprised me. She invited Gloss to a photo shoot in Joshua Tree, which is in California. It's basically in the desert. And one thing that stood out to me was the fact that she's like, yeah, I want to show you the ins and outs of the business, because she's doing this photo shoot for Remedy Swim. Now, here's the thing. Gloss's team just kind of called her out about being more of an influencer than being an artist. However, baby, if the opportunity comes, you might as well strike while it's hot, okay? Now, one thing I will say is that I do like that Ari wants to take Gloss under her wings, but also it's interesting because I feel like Gloss looks up to Ari, and I also think a couple of the other girls, because I remember at that first table, that welcome home dinner for Ari, you had Tori sitting up there talking about so do you have any advice, or how can you tell us about starting a business and all these things? I think a lot of these girls actually look up to Ari, and I get it. That girl, she became popping real quick. Now, moving on from that, we see Tucson. He's car shopping. First of all, why aren't you at a regular car dealership? Like, he literally went to some guy who probably does like customs and all the fancy things about cars. Sir, why are you here? You not Moneybag Yo. You don't got money like that. So, of course, he wants to bring up the fact that Ari gave him his $20,000 check. But here's the thing. He has not actually gotten the money from this check. So he goes to look at this car, y'all. It was $78,000. I'm like, Tucson, what is going on with you? Like, my whole thing is, why would you go all the way over there to look at cars when you don't even have the funds yet for the car? Like, come on now. And then on top of that, when it comes to Tucson and this whole situation, I feel like it's giving up. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses. Because why does Tucson need a $78,000 car? Like, what exactly does he do? I'm not even trying to be funny. That's a crazy amount of money for a car. Now, moving on from that, we see Ari. She's at her warehouse. Now, Keisha stops by and, Ari, she gives her the tour of the warehouse. And she also invites her to Joshua Tree. Now, we learn that she wants it to be Keisha, Gloss, and Tori. She didn't say nothing about the other girls. Now, Keisha, she decides to be a little tattletale because she's like, yeah, we need to talk about Tucson because at the pop-up, he was like 5 to 6 hours late because she was like, yeah, the pop-up was only a certain amount of time. It was like 5 to 6 hours, and he didn't show up to the last 30 minutes. Now, Tucson, you absolutely know that that's wrong. That is so wrong. However, I am kind of annoyed that, Keisha takes her time out to go always tell Ari about Tucson. Now, we do see Ari basically admit that her and Tucson exactly aren't on the same page. Because with her moving to Miami and him basically being the only one left in Atlanta, Tucson has been acting out left and right. It's like he wants to be the center of attention everywhere he goes, and it's not necessary. So Ari ends up telling Tucson to come up to the warehouse, right? So then we jump on over to Daybella. So she's invited Carly over. She has her homegirl Amber. She's cooking, and I can't lie, the food looked really good. Daybella, she basically brings up the pajama party and how, of course, Julian is the one who said that Carly was trying to take her man. Now, Carly, she says that, Julian, he's the one who even brought up Daybella's man, trying to figure out who he was and what he does. And when it comes to Carly, she's done with Julian. She feels like he's always trying to get into the limelight. Like, he's just always trying to be in the know and knowing what's going on, especially between these two ladies. Now, I can't lie. When it comes to Daybella and Carly, it seems like these two ladies are on the same page, and they both don't trust Julian. And baby, I don't blame them because I don't trust him either. Now, moving on from that, Tucson shows up to the warehouse. And he walks in hollering about money. And Ari is like, listen, I already sent you that money. But Tucson, he's like, no, Ariana, I need my money now. I need the money, Ari. I mean, like, he came in like a crack fiend. I'm like, sir, the way you're begging for money, what's going on? I'm not understanding. So at that point, they were going back and forth. Ari ends up kicking him out. And she tells him that, you don't really do anything. And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have anything. Now, I can't lie. When it comes to their friendship, I will say that Ari is definitely the breadwinner and she takes care of a lot of things. And I'm not saying that Tucson is a leech, but he absolutely benefits on Ari, her money, and her status. Because if it wasn't for Ari, honestly, we probably would not know who Tucson was. I feel like that was pretty much like a last straw with him coming into her establishment, raising his voice at her, especially about some money. Like, it was just too much. He turned up way too much, and it was way overboard. So I don't even blame Ari for getting upset the way that she did, because I feel like this could have been handled so much differently. So differently. So then Keisha, she's still there, and she's confused, because she's just like, what just happened here? And Ari's like, he complains too much. Like, I've done so much stuff for him, and for him to act like people don't do anything for him, like, that's crazy. I really feel like Ari is done with Tucson. This is not something that I feel like can be mended. Like, this is very different than when Tay and Ari got into it, because it wasn't really a getting into it situation. They just kind of stopped talking. But this whole thing with Tucson, yeah, it's bad. And one thing I do want to say is shout out to Mike, because, baby, he may have been the ex-boyfriend of Tucson, but he was not about to get involved in that mess. He came back, started slicking her baby hairs down. I said, okay, Mike, you about your business. I can't knock you. But, y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.